separated by the languages
It is
anymore.
a global community now.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And as far as transportation goes, it would not be a problem for us to get on a plane right now and be halfway around the world today.
You know, the Olympics are going on right now in Beijing, China. And we all know that China, the culture of China is much different than maybe what we have in the United States of America. But one thing that is unmistakably clear, even in China, which is more of a closed society than the European countries, for example, or Japan or Australia, but even then, you can see the Western influence. You can see even the facial expressions. They get the global slang that you see in movies, that you see in television commercials. They get it. You see the same type of clothing being worn. You know.
That's right.
So we're really coming to a global culture,
Right.
where there's very little separating us anymore.
That's true.
It's becoming a single culture, seems like.
That's right. Man is coming to be of a single mind again and able again to move with a single purpose. And so you see what God did with his sovereign power is step in, confuse the language, people separated, and these barriers of language and space were in between. And so man's self-destruction was limited because man didn't have the synergy of all mankind being on the same page with Satan in protest, in rebellion against God. But now the stage is set for exactly that thing to occur.
You know, before we go on, we should probably mention some of the things, remarkable things that are happening right now in the world.
Absolutely.
Now, Russia has been a democracy for a few years now, but it looks like Putin is really becoming more of a, he's showing to have the potential of being a dictator in the finest Russian tradition.
Absolutely.
And I doubt if he's going to lose power. Now, of course, he was a former general
That's right.
in the military, so he has that mindset,
Right.
And they have invaded, since we had this program, we haven't talked that much about it, but they invaded to the south between Russia and Turkey, the sovereign country of Georgia,
That's right.
which is a Western democracy now,
Right.
used to be a Soviet satellite.
That's right.
And they've gone in there with a strong arm of force. Now, the United States at this time is, I think, one of the things that helped provoke that. I think a feeling for a need to show some power, show a willingness to be aggressive, is because the United States is presently installing a missile defense system in Poland, which also used to be a satellite of the Soviet Union. And so the Russians are very opposed to this, and have been so outspoken, they have actually threatened nuclear,
Right.
not nuclear war, but they've threatened to use a nuclear weapon
Right.
in Poland
Right.
if this goes on. Now, the United States is trying to assure Russia this has nothing to do with you. This is a safeguard against an attack from the Middle Eastern countries. But I would be skeptical myself if that were the only reason that we're doing it. But the Russian bear seems to feel like they're being pushed into a cave, and they don't want to be there. And so we're seeing the rise of the Russian bear again, you see.
Right.
And it's an interesting thing that they are now aligned with the most extremist, fundamentalist Islamic nations,
That's right.
rogue nations now,
Right.
in the Middle East.
That's right. And, frankly, the stage is set. You've got Europe as one united country. The pride of America's power, frankly, is being broken. I doubt that Russia would be as bold as she is if our forces weren't already spoken for in the Middle
Absolutely.
East. And that certainly has emboldened Putin and his forces to go in. And frankly, Poland has resisted the idea of us putting the Patriot missile battery on their soil. But with Russia showing the kind of aggression they did toward Georgia, Now Poland probably feels it's in her best interest to protect herself. And so what you've got is the equivalent of a playground situation like we used to have at school. You know, there are a couple of boys and they're taunting one another back and forth and circling. Well, that's our global situation. And that brings us right to Matthew 24, what Jesus was telling the disciples. Should we take a look at that?
Let's look at it.
All right. It says in verse 3, as he sat on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately, saying, "Tell us, when will these things be, and what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?" And Jesus answered, and he said to them, "Take heed that no one deceives you, for many will come in my name, saying, 'I'm the Christ,' and deceive many. And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you're not troubled. All these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there will be famines, pestilences, and earthquakes in various places, and these are the beginning of sorrows." So now I think we see ourselves in exactly this place. We're in the place of the beginning of sorrows. Now, there's been warfare on this planet as long as we've had history to see, but it hasn't been global. Even in the world wars, there are vast portions of the world that were not involved.
That's right.
That's not really a possibility anymore, because we are all, frankly, like one village, like one community in the world now. Everybody's attached, and all of these powerful alliances have been made. And now weapons won't just affect one part of the world. In the event of a nuclear attack, we will see the world at war.
Right now, I'm not positive if it's the end of this month, the month of August, or if it's the first part of September. But the present Prime Minister or President of Israel is resigning, and a new one is going to take its place.
Right.
And Benjamin Netanyahu, which was Prime Minister at one time before, is the one who is most likely to get the job.
Right.
He is ahead in percentage points right now, and he is very outspoken. Now he has said that Iran cannot possess nuclear weapons, and that Israel must strike.
Right.
And so he sees the world, and he sees terrorists and terrorist states in black and white, very plain. So we can see that the stage is really set, because what we have now, did we mention last week about the ideology of the Iranian president?
I'm not certain, but it'd be good for us to state it anyway.
Right. Because, he believes in what is kind of an Islamic sect, kind of a small Shiite, obscure sect, believed in what they call the hidden Iman, or the 12th or 13th Iman, which supposedly centuries ago fell into a well, and he's supposed to come back in the end time. And amid global chaos and war, he comes to the front and leads the Islamic faith and the Islamic nations to world domination. And so Ahmadinejad really believes that. And so he believes that he could perpetuate this by starting a nuclear exchange
That's right.
with Israel. To him, it is